I said, I think I said kids.
We had ours with a flight coming in, so still waiting.
Very nice.
Mine is
Just ask us to go to the bus, but it's rewriting. Not going.
right.
Board members.
Lake of the Ozarks.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
Are going down here.
Drive to Vegas.
Do what?
Drive to Vegas.
It's a long walk.
We did that.
No.
And we were just kids, we enjoyed it.
Through Kansas, through Colorado.
It was so hot, we left Jill up to Dow. It melted. Bubble blast. That would be a long haul.
It's pretty.
Yeah, pretty far.
How far is it to Denver, like 10 hours?
So that's about 20 hours.
Yeah.
Here, it's a good-
Yeah.
Oh,
What we're gonna do
Is it?
in August to take care.
another way.
No, I know.
Ready?
I just started looking at it.
We got 5 seconds.
15.
4, 3, 2, 1. We'll call this meeting to order the Finance Committee. I'm Stu May, I'm the treasurer of the board. We'll go around and we'll do introductions first. Nick, let's start with you.
Hi, I'm Nick Pavato. I'm a new board member, so I started a few months ago. Currently work at the Department of Health of the state of Missouri, but I'm switching on Monday. I'll be working at the district court in Kansas, Kansas. Job.
Ed Van Haley, old board member. Oh, who?
Debbie Pryor, new board member.
Susan Borgmeyer, very old.
Penny Rowland, board member.
Tom Holcomb, staff.
Georgina McNamara, staff.
Robin Meyer, staff. Sarah Mai, Down Syndrome Renovations, Executive Director.
Patrice Welch, Down Syndrome Renovations, parent.
Oh,
Brian Hogan, Blue Valley Industries.
hi, Brian.
Tracy Rock, staff.
Hi, Jerry.
Label staff. Brandon Smiley, staff.
Justin Leach, staff. Aaron Underwood, staff. Ashley Garrison, staff. Kristen Yates, staff.
Eve McGee, board member.
Ben Kistner, board member.
Harry Duke with CDD.
George Mitchell, board member.
Hi, George.
Howdy.
Is that everyone? Or we got Aaron.
Aaron.
Everybody, Aaron Martin, job one.
Hi, Aaron.
Hello.
Jennifer Hume Resources.
Did everybody from? We get everybody? Very good. Well, we will get the meeting started. We are almost halfway through the year. I can't believe that. It's just flying by. There was quite a bit of financial information that Tom sent out to us, and he is the master of our finances, so I will turn it over to him.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for your interest in ETOS finances. I think we'll probably move through this pretty quickly tonight, so we may have some extra time at the end, so feel free to stop me along the way if you got questions or angry remarks of any kind. So the balance sheet, remember that shows you what we own and owe as of the end of the month. This particular month is May 31st of 2025. So the first two lines there tell you that we've got almost 15 million in cash and treasury notes, which is up about $1 million from the same time the previous year. The $5.3 million in estimated taxes receivable is the 2025 taxes, which we won't even begin to collect until the very end of November of 2025. But we estimate that number and record 1/12. So that 5.3-ish million number there is 5/12 of what we're estimating the number will be for the year. The 736,000 in accounts receivable reflects the portion of our Medicaid billings that we haven't collected yet, that we believe will be collectible. The $80,000 in accounts receivable other there is from, is a grant from the Department of Mental Health. That's actually 2 months worth. They pay us generally on a monthly basis. Sometimes they fall a little behind, but in June, they always catch up because that's the end of the state's fiscal year. And as far as I can tell, they're not allowed to pay anything late. So we have already gotten all 12 months of that contract. The state's fiscal runs July through June. So we'll have a new contract. I believe it's for exactly the same dollar amount, starting in July. We have $425,000 in prepaid expenses. Much of that is insurance. So our total current assets, about 21.7 million. Property and equipment or fixed assets, net of depreciation, it's just under 9.5 million on May 31st. If you do any comparing to the previous year, you'll see we're up in renovations. That's largely the work done at Blue Valley on the concrete there. And you also see we're up considerably on the vehicles line. May was the month in which we recorded the 6 new vehicles that we got from the Section 5310 grant. $1.3 million there in note receivable from CDD, or as our auditors would call it, conditional grant. That's 4/5 of the original amount. The original amount was of $1,640,000. So total assets as of May 31st, 2025, just a hair under $32.5 million. On the liabilities side, we got total liabilities of 2.3 million. Accounts payable about 135 million, and accrued expenses, as I've explained the last couple of months, sometimes amounts move back and forth between accounts payable and accrued liabilities, depending on whether or not we've got actual invoices to record at the end of the month. The big fluctuation back and forth there are agency invoices. So sometimes we have approved and put in accounts payable invoices from agencies, and sometimes not. If not, I put them in accrued expenses because we still want the expense to show up in the financial statements. So in addition to our sort of trade payables, we have just a hair under $900,000 in mortgage on this building, and about $280,000 in accrued payroll. So if you take 32.5 million in total assets and subtract the 2.3 million in liabilities, see we've got just a little over 30 million in total fund balance. Sometimes we call that equity. It's the portion of the organization that's owned by the Jackson County citizens and taxpayers, as opposed to creditors. Any questions about the balance sheet? The next page is our capital budget. For the 5 months ending May 31st. So this first column, the annual budget is just that, that's 12 months. Worth of budget compared to actual year to date. So the actual is 5 months worth. So we should have something in the budget remaining column if we're planning to do any more capital investment during the year. And as you can see, we do. On the new vehicles line there, that $669,000 number. $653,400 and some change of that is the 6 new vehicles that I just mentioned that we got from the federal grant. Actually, I should say we got 85% of it from the federal grant, the rest of it was our match. And the remaining $16,000 on that line is new engines and transmissions that we've paid for and put in old buses. Most of the rest of this statement is identical to what it looked like last month. The one exception is we spent an additional $9,000 on that work at Blue Valley. So the $70,000 number there was $61,000 last month. We have now completed that. They haven't billed the retention yet, so I assume that means that the contractors have something in their mind of a punch list that may still need to be touched up. But as far as we're concerned, the work's finished there. Our engineers have signed off on
Feels pretty cool in here. We haven't got a new air
it.
conditioner.
We have not gotten a new commissioner. It is on the way.
It's still working.
It is indeed.
That's a good thing.
And it is not our normal habit to replace HVAC equipment that is still functioning. This particular piece of equipment takes something like 3 months to get when it's on order. So we wanted to be a little more proactive. And so in the next couple of months, we'll be replacing that. It's well beyond its expected life, which is what you get with HVAC equipment. Sometimes, it's supposed to last 15 years and 5 years later it's limping along. Sometimes it's supposed to last 15 years and 29 years later it's still limping along. It's kind of the situation we've got.
Hey, Brandon, have we put all those new buses in service?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good.
They went in, first week of May.
And are people still fighting over who gets to drive?
We got it worked out. It was a fight though.
So in total, our capital budget, approved to date is $1.9 million, and we've actually spent $924,000. On the operating income statement, and these columns are 5 months, the first 5 months of this year compared to the first 5 months of last year. So the top part of this is revenues, and this is the most detailed counting of revenues that any of my financial statements have.
Those numbers are awful close. That top line number is only $20 off.
That's because those are estimated numbers in both years.
Okay.
And we are estimating that this year will produce the same amount of revenue as we hoped would be produced last year. As you know, we have all kinds of uncertainties around assessed valuations and levies. And this year we have the additional uncertainty of what impact will be made by, the, senior citizens, freeze. So you, probably saw Georgie's, email today that those numbers are now looking like the best estimate I got from John Gordon actually today, he called me and gave me that $38,000 number. That's what it will cost us.
Better than what we thought.
But it's better than what we thought, but both numbers were guesses. And, we'll know sometime after it has already hurt us.
I am.
What the impact is.
And I don't know, do we get an assessment? Do they send us an assessment even though we don't pay taxes?
On our property,
On this building and one across the street?
they do send us some of that. I believe I've got those in a file in my office.
Well, and they don't mean anything
That's-
for us.
That's
but
right.
I've been talking to a lot of commercial people and commercial buildings got hit hard. I mean, hard,
Yeah, it's been,
like triple, double and
yeah,
triple. Residential wasn't so bad, the assessments. Actually, some of them went down. But commercial really got hit
The
hard.
residential was the one that was impacted by the STC order, whereas commercial is not.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, Tom.
No, that's, well, all right. So as you can see, total revenues for those 5 months, just a hair over $10 million. Which is down about $300,000 during the same period. But last year we had almost $1 million of phantom gain from the disposition of those properties to CDD. We do not have anything analogous to that in this year. I will point out a couple of things here. The $6,000 on the gain line there, that's actual cash after we got those 6 buses. Joe in the garage went to wheeling and dealing and sold some old buses and that he'd been taping together to keep them operating and managed to get $6,000 out of them. So that's what that $6,000 is. We also notice on the other revenue line, the $196,000 number, that is the refund that we got from Blue Cross. Because last year our health experience was great.
That Medicaid number is down. Our billings are down.
That is what that means. Both on the dot line and on the support coordination line. Now, those are 5-month numbers. So it doesn't tell you anything about the trend within the year. I can tell you that in the case of DOT, those it was the first 2 months that were particularly bad. And the trend is jumping back up. I think in support coordination, it's pretty even on a monthly basis. I will point out, we've got this line for federal bus purchase grant, that $550,000. So that's the federal portion of the money that was spent on those buses. And so it does somewhat inflate your revenue when you remember you didn't really get to touch that cash. It went straight to the bus dealer. But it did result in some pretty awesome vehicles.
Completed the bus.
Georgie, are you gonna talk about Medicaid? I know you sent us a flyer that broke it out a little bit.
I'd be happy to answer any questions if I know the answer.
We've got $3 million in revenue that come from Medicaid. If they pass this new legislation and it's cut. We may not see that next year or some portion thereof.
So
Are we concerned about that? And is there any plans in place?
yes and no.
Okay,
It actually hasn't been
right.
signed into law. When it is, because I fully expect that it will be, it isn't so much a cut to what we get right now, but to future growth. So it's, people are calling it a cut because there'll be less people being served
Right.
in time. With the work requirements and that sort of thing, they'll all create barriers to people getting Medicaid. I'm less concerned about it impacting the people that we support as a whole. There will be specific people that we support that will be impacted. But people who have developmental disabilities and extreme disabilities won't have a work requirement, will still continue to be eligible. It also depends on what the state decides to do. If they decide how much they're gonna help or pick up to continue to serve people. So there's just too many unknowns to know the answer to that. If we have less people who have Medicaid, it would make our community outreach department larger and our support coordination department smaller.
So then the bottom part of this income statement is the expense portion. As you can see, 9.6 million in expenses for the first 5 months compared to about 9.2 million for the same time period in the previous year. That $500,000 increase, as you can see, is thoroughly distributed in various parts of our organization. Some of that represents raises for our employees. Some of it represents grants for various providers, and some of it's additional costs providing services. The property number is a pretty big percentage increase. And I will tell you that some of that is because we outsourced the property management function. Some of the salaries of our on staff property managers were in the administrative line. So that got shifted to the property line here. So that's part of what's going on there. But we've also had a number of things happen with the property that have made those numbers go up. We've done some significant plumbing and bathroom floor work at Blue Valley. We've done some plumbing and flooring at our own Blue Springs building. We've upgraded the way that we do our alarm monitoring at our buildings. And we spent a lot of money on groundskeeping, almost double from $24,000 to $48,000 for the 5-month period. And most of that increase was snow removal in January and February. Weather was so bad.
Snow sounds pretty good right now.
I suspect it would be even more costly to replace the snow now. That is what it is. So, our net income number there, 416,000. Again, remember 550,000 of that was that bus grant, where the revenues are reflected here and the expenses are reflected elsewhere. Okay, so this is in some ways my favorite financial statement because it compares actual to what our plan was. We can see how close to the plan we were. It's a somewhat awkward financial statement because it's very wide and hard to fit here. And so I'm gonna have to shrink it a little bit. And I know the numbers are already hard to read, so I apologize for that. So if you could read these numbers, you would see that our revenues in total for the 5 months are $529,000 over budget. The way that breaks down is we're 257,000 over budget on the tax revenue line. And I would say that that's largely because we budget conservatively. We don't budget for collecting prior year's taxes, and there's always some prior year's taxes that are still dribbling in. We are also way over budget on that federal bus purchase grant line because we got it all in May, but we budget for it a 12th each month because we didn't know when it was coming. So at the end of the year, that's gonna be close to even. We actually ended up, I think, leaving about $40,000 on the table because we didn't wanna buy one more bus that we had to pay for, mostly out of our pocket. But that money generally carries over to the next time that we get a 5310 grant. So hopefully we'll see that come along. The next 5310 grant is hoped for still this year. Yeah. So we'll see in December. I'm not really expecting it to happen quite that quickly, but we'll see. Hope springs eternal. In the other area, we didn't budget for that refund on our health insurance. So that's $200,000 that's over budget. And the only area that we are significantly under budget is the support coordination revenue, and that's $265,000 or 8.5%. So net all that, and we're $529,000 over budget on the revenue side. We are $258,000 under budget on the expense side. So if you follow that, you know that both of those things are generally considered favorable variances. You like it when more money comes in and less goes out, assuming you can make that happen and still provide the services that you intend to serve. Never forget that that's really what we're all about. So the significant variances here, we are over budget on the residential line. We are under budget on vocational. We're under budget at DOT by 198,000. We're under budget in support coordination by 153,000. We're over budget on property by that 64,000. I gave you the reasons for that already. And all of that nets down to that $258,000 favorable variance on the expenses. Those variances in the provider part of this at the end of the year will tend to move towards zero. We don't pay more than we've contracted to pay to providers, and we only pay less if for some reason they bill us less. So at the bottom of that, there's an $824,000 favorable variance, the difference between a $416,000 positive and a $407,000 negative on the budget side. Told you we'd go through this really fast, and I've got 2 minutes left. How about that? So there's the treasury notes. Any questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
Net Standard. Do they provide all the IT for the whole organization?
Well, it depends on what you mean by all the IT, but they do all our help desk work. They provide most of our purchasing assistance in the technology area. They give us lots of help with technology strategy. So almost all our IT. We have one person on staff. one person, oh, yeah, on our payroll.
And are we self-insured on insurance?
No. We. We have real good old fashioned actual insurance. Both. Both for our employees' benefits and for our own liability and casualty and all that. We have looked very carefully at doing self-insurance on the health insurance.
Right.
We think we could probably save some money doing that. And there are ways to do it without taking on a bunch of risk.
Right.
And we think it would also probably give us a little more control over what benefits we offer. So we'd like to do that. 2 or 3 different years, we've almost pulled the trigger and we get right down to the end and something comes up and we think, yeah, maybe next year. So we'll probably look at it again this year. Any other questions?
Any questions for Tom? I don't. We have no new business, no old business, no public comment. So if somebody would like to make a motion, we'll just,
Still news.
we have a motion and Ned seconded. All in favor, we will to terminate this meeting or end it? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, looks like we're right on time. It's called the Board of Directors meeting to order. I'm Teddy Rowland, Board Chair. We'll go this way to Susan.
Board member.
Debbie Pryor, board member.
Ed Van Halen, the old board.
Nick Pavato, board member.
Stu May, treasurer.
Georgie McNamara, staff.
I'm Holcomb staff.
Ashley Garrettson, staff. Erin Underwood, staff. Jensen Lee, staff.
Brendan Sealy, staff. Alex Sagel, staff.
This is on staff.
Brian Hogan, Blue Valley.
Patrice Welch parent with the Down syndrome renovations. Sarah Myers, staff with Down syndrome renovation.
Robin Meyer, staff.
Kenneth
Online.
Bird, staff.
Eve McGee, board member.
Ben Kistner, board vice chair. George Mitchell, board.
Harry Duke with CDD.
Aaron Martin, job one.
Shannon Maloney Navarro, ETOS.
Jillian Braun, ETOS.
All right, I think that got everybody, right? We missed anybody?
And Jennifer Hume Resources.
Oh, there we go. I did miss somebody. All right, welcome, everyone. We'll move right on to our secretary's report. Dr. McGee.
Sorry about that. Good evening, everybody. Robin sent out the May meeting minutes. Are there any corrections? Hearing none. Hearing none, I propose that we accept the May meeting minutes as presented.
Second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All right, we've approved the secretary's report. Finance committee, Stu.
Really don't have a lot to add to what Tom presented to us. Well, financially, we're in very good shape. Hopefully we can get some of these funds out to some of our providers. We might need some funds, so, but everything looks good on the finance side.
All right, we can move right on to our funded provider presentation. We've got Down syndrome innovations and Sarah and Patrice. Take it away.
Tripping on wire.
Thank you for having us back. I feel like as a board, you probably want to hear more from parents and self-advocates than our leadership. So first of all, I just want to thank the board of directors and the ETOS staff. I just continue to love working with ETOS. I just feel like we elevate each other. I'm looking at Tracy and Alex. I feel like we collaborate. And I feel like we are all committed to best practices and solutions for people with developmental disabilities. And we are getting funded by you this year for mental health and co-regulation services. which are Trailblazing Services, IDD specialized counseling and co-regulation groups. And it's going so strong, really proud of that. You're also funding community workouts, which is specialized fitness in gyms within Jackson County. We have a personal certified trainer, health and wellness coordinator who specializes in serving the lifespan of people with developmental disabilities and making sure they're committed to their health and exercise, and doing that in partnership with gyms in Jackson County. And then lastly, you've continued our family assistance matching program, which allows families a matching funding source to get access to our home and community therapies, our employment support, and our adult continuing education. And Patrice Welch is here, mother of self-advocate Caleb, who's 23 years old. And they utilized quite a few of our service lines. And I think it's more important that you hear from her and their family about Caleb. So
Good evening. or good afternoon. Thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to share. Just curious, how many of you are parents of a child with a disability? What about siblings? I was just motivation for being on boards and that nature, but I want to share, it's a quick, I think 30-second video. This is my son. He's 23 now. So after you watch the video, we'll
I think it's
talk
not
about the
the picture
pictures.
mode, it's not.
Open like this. And his disability?
He has, I'm sorry, he has Down
He's
syndrome.
down.
Yes, he has Down syndrome, yes. This was about a year ago. So I wanted you to see a little bit of what your funding allows for him to do, provide support for him on the job. He has been doing this job for almost 2 years. And now they are, the first 6 months, the trial period, they weren't paid. He gets $14 an hour now. He only works 4 hours a week, but seeing him work in this plant now, I believe that the group of adults with Down syndrome that they bring to this facility in Mission, they're the only individuals who have disabilities. This private company paired with us because they were having trouble retaining people, right? That's a tough job to do 6 to 8 hours a day, okay? My son could do it 10. Right, he's really good at doing, he's learned to do several different jobs there. So the boxes come in, they're flat. They have to make them into this corrugated cardboard. They have to make it into a box. Then pack that's dog and cat food that's eventually sold at Walmart. So they're packing them. He loves stacking the pallets. I can tell you not even 5 years ago, he's 23 now, but not even 5 years ago would I thought that was possible. Okay, he's nonverbal. He is still yet to say a 3-word sentence. Not many businesses would take a chance on a kid like Caleb. They would think, oh, well, no, he can't, he can't do that. But because of the support at the Down Syndrome Guild, he's able to do this job. And he's been continually asked, can we have Caleb back? Can we have Caleb back? So if you don't mind showing the pictures again. So as Sarah mentioned, all of the things that we've been involved in, he's exercising. All throughout middle school and high school, he hated PE class, okay? He was the only kid in his school with Down syndrome and one of the few with a developmental disability. He was often secluded and alone in a classroom with just a teacher. After being at the adult continuing ed program that your funding helps provide, he is exercising, okay? His job, he is standing on his feet the whole 2 hours. His PE teacher would be blown away to think, Caleb, he's not just flopping on the floor somewhere, okay? And this is him working and again, that's the box that they make into it. So I think of all the many ways. So the fitness classes he participates in there and then in the community, the employment, coaching that he has. When you think about someone like Caleb being able to know how to clock, he has to learn how to clock in and out, right? He had to learn how to come back from a break, which you give me an iPad or something for a minute during my break and you expect me to come back to work. So he's learning these valuable job skills that he did not get, unfortunately, in high school. Mom and dad can't really effectively teach that because we're not in that environment, right? So he participates in the adult continuing ed, the employment program, the fitness, and then off and on the emotional regulation. Because again, he doesn't have verbal language. When he's frustrated, it might be a pen or an iPad across the room, right? In school, there was a consequence for that. A job, you might get fired from that, right? So those are the skills that he is learning. I'm so grateful because I don't want 23 years ago, this organization had one part-time person. And they were meeting out of a basement of a church. Then they rented their first building. And I don't know if any of you all have had a chance to go to Down Syndrome Innovations. Now they have their own building. They have all of these resources. And now they just not only serve the babies and the toddlers, but our adults. And I foresee now a future for him where he's not like depressed and bored because now he feels like he has value and worth. And although we think he can't express that and may not desire that, he shows it every day. He is excited to go to their program. They provide the transportation. It would be a round trip, almost 2 hours for me. I live in Midtown, Kansas City. The facility is in Lenexa, Kansas. So if I had to do that, that's a long trip for me. So I drive him to Mission, Kansas. He gets in a van and then they take him along with the other group to the nautical facility in Lenexa and then bring him back. So all of this is a big help and I just wanted to thank you and show my appreciation for the Down syndrome wheel. I don't often do that enough because day to day it's overwhelming just parenting. But so thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Patrice and Sarah. We appreciate that. My son also goes to the ACE program, JP. Yeah, so because.
Yeah, talk about JP. You asked JP about Caleb.
Okay, I will do that. I will do that. Thanks. Thank you guys for coming.
I quit.
We'll go to Georgie's report. I sent out the report. I also sent you a correction today with that $38,000 number. Didn't know if there's any questions, any comments.
I saw, and this goes to Brandon, you were talking about cancellations. That's pretty impressive that we've got it down to that point, because that was kind of an issue for a while. So thank you.
Not a word.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right, then we'll move into new business. So Tracy's got something on the UMKC program.
Right. Where do you want me?
Come on up. Let's see, right here.
So as some of the board members know that UMKC for many years had the ACE program, which provided lots of classes at UMKC and a few other universities. Slowly over the years, they decreased that service to the point where they have one location in Blue Springs. And after working together for a while and trying to get services up and running again after COVID, it just didn't happen to the way that I think families wanted across the spectrum again. So we had asked them to sort of start doing some thinking about what else the program could look like. The lady who had run it for years retired. And so now they've got a new group of classes. It's, the university, is the USED, which is the University for the State of Missouri. They are the ones that say what best practices for people with developmental disabilities. They do research and that kind of thing for the state of Missouri. So they have created this program called the WeSaid. That program would take the place of the ACE program, which we gave funding to this year. It is remarkable because it's 3 ladies with developmental disabilities. 2 will be teaching the class. 1 is supervising and coaching the 2 that will be doing the classes. They've got classes setting up in Blue Springs. We asked them for that. Since the ACE classes were mostly in Blue Springs at the end, we felt like those families needed. Plus the families in Blue Springs get very, very little, so we really wanted to end up there first. But they also are doing classes at Young KC. So it's just the beginning. We haven't had any classes, but we're hoping that it takes off and it's a good change to the ACE program or takes the place of the ACE program.
It's an evolution.
An evolution.
Passes sounded.
Good. What are you doing?
Hey, Carrie, we can hear you. So how many people does the program serve?
So they hope that each class will have 15 to 20. I checked with Kyla, who's running the program, and it's been slow to get people signed up. We plan to push it out again to support coordinators. We've done it twice now, so to do that too much, we really want families to know about it.
So the people who were, because I had a phone call from somebody saying, what's going on with this program? And so the families, the individuals that were participating in the UMKC ACE program, are
they should have gotten a mailing. So they had everything out to the printers, and Kyla found a mailing list of all the families that have been participating lately, the last 6 months of ACE. And so they should have gotten something in the mail to explain the classes and how to sign up and all that. So I can follow up though to see how it's going once.
Yes, it's been a couple of months, so that very easily could be in that transition period.
Right, and the mailing would have just happened. I think it was 2 weeks ago that she said it was at the printer, so.
What did ACE, I just as a reminder, what did ACE mean?
Adult
Continuing education.
continuing education.
Kind of confusing with the Down syndrome program, which is also called ACE.
Because they came along with the ACE program. Yes, so one had a D at the end, how about that?
So it's past tense.
Yes. And it was a really great program back in the day. It was the only way people got any kind of education at all, really. And so they got to see their friends every Saturday, and they did a lot of cool classes. But over the years, it just got smaller and smaller, and
It didn't have a force behind it to keep it going.
yeah.
So are they changing the name, rebranding?
I think the WeSaid, which is, it's the USED, so the WeSaid at the USED, I think is the play on words.
USED stands for University Centers for Excellence in Developmental Disability Services, so. And they're funded federally, they're actually on the chopping block right now.
And George, who runs the
Dr. Gatto.
program, Dr. Gatto, would be here tonight, but he went to meet with Josh Hawley in Washington DC to advocate for the USED,
Okay.
because that funding has been cut.
What's a part of the curriculum? I'm new, so like in the classes and stuff like that.
Say that again.
What's like a part of the curriculum for the classes and stuff?
Determination.
Okay.
They really want to get people to be able to be board members, to speak publicly, to be able to go out and speak up for people with disabilities.
Okay.
So really, it's all about self-esteem and growth and understanding rights. So there's classes on rights, self-determination.
Got it. And you said the 3 teachers they have.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also have a speakers bureau that I think is really cool, and we hope in the future to be able to partner with them to do some trainings, like have their speakers come and do events here.
And one of their speakers actually spoke at our conference last year. And, so I don't, Kyle and I were talking at the same time, this all kind of came from this concept of there's people in Missouri that have disabilities that have great messages. And we had our conference, and then she at the same time was working on building up this speakers bureau, which he is part of now. So it's really cool to see, people being able to, I couldn't believe that we had a conference where it was a person with disability, and we actually had 2 people with disabilities that spoke. And then randomly, another person who was there, Wesley Hamilton, spoke at our conference too. So I, as a professional, it was always, it was the professionals that got to spoke at conferences. So,
Yeah.
I'm pleased with this proposal. Took a minute to
So
get.
the request is just to transfer the money I don't believe we paid anything at all to ACE this year. So to transfer that amount, and I am sorry, I cannot remember right offhand what the amount is. $75,000 to the new program.
So will we need a motion?
Yeah, need a motion.
Okay, I'll make that motion. We transfer the funds that went to ACE to Lisa for the development of their program.
And I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I don't think there's anybody's conflicted on this program, so just all those in favor say aye.
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 All right, anyone opposed? All right, that looks like that carried.
I will let them know. Thank you.
Brian, what do you order to the table?
Aye.
I think we love that, Brian. I did have a conflict here.
Yeah, Teddy can't vote, sorry guys, but you guys got the information, I think Brian sent the business plan to you guys while I was gone. And so now there's a business plan and not just my introduction that I sent to you guys. And I know Ed, you had lunch,
I did.
Brian?
I have spoken. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You want me to speak?
Sure.
Well, I can do that. I got to know Brian pretty well in the last week or so, and I don't think that I could add anything that Georgie and Tom didn't already add, and with this board and the information they've provided, but from a strictly business standpoint, Brian and I have been very blunt with each other. Had some candid conversation, and when you're in dire straits, I think Tom could probably speak volumes to this. I look at 2 things. First of all, cutting cost. He has a very frugal payroll. He has 0 rent. Actually, it's not true. It's a penny, which we're gonna quit making these equipment. So there's no rent. He has to have lights on, air conditioning, heat and so on. And you look at those things, there's really no reduction. And the other piece is when you're in business, you have to grow revenue, top line. And that's where Brian's at right now. He's speaking, he's got a lot of headwinds, I'm being candid, and he knows that. But the thing of it is, what I see Brian told me, I can smell culture when I walk in. We've all been in Blue Valley. I think almost everybody has. Wonderful organization, great culture. Certainly the man has the dedication, the passion, the determination to make this thing go. I will say, and I'm just gonna speak what I told Brian today. There's probably not a bank in the world that would loan him the money. Okay, but I think on the other side, as a compassionate organization, and look at the demographics he serves, the people he serves, the mission, what he's trying to do, I think it's worth the risk. That's my personal take. And I feel very good about what Brian's trying to get done. So that's in a nutshell over 3 or 4 hours of conversation we've had now. There's just throwing ideas around, kicking some things around. I think Brian at least has a plan in his mind mentally about how to move forward and grow revenue. Correct?
I would also say I am conflicted in my vote, but I'm not conflicted in speaking my mind. That, my son JP, who's 30 years old, when he was 21, in the middle of this upheaval with workshops, Brian was the one that took him in, and after we had gone through some bad experiences, started a home there, and it was just an amazing, just really patient with JP in that transition from high school that was so difficult. And he goes there 3 days a week and 2 days to Down syndrome. And I don't know what we would have done without you. It has just been, it's a very warm and embracing atmosphere. that really nurtures the people that work there. I think you guys got hit hard by COVID. And it's been really hard 5 years later to come back from that. I'd say-
Brian's desire to serve in that neighborhood is,
Yes, because it is right there at
Yeah.
16th and Prospect,
Yeah.
18th and Prospect.
Right.
And, I mean, it's an area that really underserved, yes.
One thing I'd like to add to his proposal, I'll throw Sam, I should have mentioned it to him when we walked across the park lot. I'm sorry, I didn't. I would say if we approve this, is we should get some kind of synopsis from Brian and his team moving forward about how the business is growing and how it's looking. If we're gonna take this risk, and I think every 30 to 60 days, get a report to Tom or to Georgie or whatever, and make sure we're moving forward. And I think that'd be very fair.
Yeah, and we also have eyes on with our agency relations staff that we'll be going into and we'll be giving honest assessments. In my opinion, it is about the 49 people that work there.
Absolutely.
But we also want them to actually have work to do there,
Absolutely.
so, you know, we wanna see it grow.
Yeah.
And get back up to speed.
I so appreciate the kind words, you know, I am very passionate about this, and we've had times where we're very successful and have really good work projects. And so we were super hit hard by COVID, but we had one really large customer. And that story is so long ago, but we had to then sort of restart after that 2-month period where we were sent home. And we did bring on a group of new customers and things, but now we sort of find as time has gone on that those have either failed or they've been sold or this the loss of the projects. And so the real big headwind that we're facing is we're just sort of struggling in this era. And I can't say that it's all because of the economics right now. You know, maybe we're just not very lucky, but I don't think that that's true. What I think it is that somehow we're not just meeting the right people, and we just need to rethink the strategy of how do we meet the right people to bring those projects in. And so, you know, we continue to pay workers for work they do. We pay workers also for the times we don't have work and they're on training activities. And so it really hasn't impacted wages of workers. If you look at the history of it, but you know, it's just drawing down our cash reserves, our battle, you know, to take on new activities. And so, you know, we were not great, but we were always sort of meeting where we needed to be. And then month of April just was really tough for us. It wasn't that the expenses that came up were unbudgeted, but it was kind of all at this one time, and it was sort of a cash crunch. And so I really felt that the time had hit that we really needed to reset and change. Not all of what we do. The work that we have put together for Discovering Prospects, our program that helps people transition to the community, that is really finally starting to grow, and we're starting to see, I think we have 7 people over the next couple of months that will now be in that service looking for work in the community or getting engaged in the community. But the kickoff to that has really taken a long time, much longer than I would have hoped for. But we're excited for that momentum and where that grows. But we are a sheltered workshop, and our job is to employ people. And so we can present the best day, we can present staff that cares for people. But people need work to do, right? That's what we're here for. That is our mission. And so I'd asked a couple of my board members to come with me and sit down with Georgie and Tom and with Alex and Tracy. And, you know, and one of the things that came out of that, and so this was last Tuesday, was could you put together a plan? So this document you have, while it's all the things I've been thinking about, I was telling Ed today, the regret of things that I've kind of avenues I wish I had taken that I had as we were working on other things. They kind of got fit into here. But I know that there needs to be more, and we do need, like Ed, we do need to be telling you what's happening because you're stewards of the community's money, and I'm happily do that. I'll happily put it in, right? And you know, I want you to know that we really want to regrow. We really want people to have work that they cherish. You know, I know that they're happy being at Moore Valley, but I want them to have more of everything. And so are there any questions about the things that I included within that proposal or things? I will say, I sent a note to Georgie today, I wasn't really sure what, I want to redo our websites because they're just not as professional as they need to be. And I put in there that I thought it would be like 7,500. I've been talking to this agency. They're out of St. Louis and they've worked with a good number of workshops across the state. But they came back last night and said, no, it'll be 3 to 4. So they're sort of compassionately dealing with us. And so, I don't always know where some of these things are going to land. Like, for example, I really would like to get some sort of business, somebody that could help me in terms of looking at Blue Valley, assessing our skills and how can we meet the right people? I have a salesperson and she's really great. And she's been doing sales for a very long time, but right now there are more doors shut as you're trying to get out and talk to businesses. And so I think it would help us if we just have somebody that's helping us in terms of getting introductions to people so we can get in. And that's really sort of where I feel that I'm failing. And I'll use that term, is I'm not getting the opportunity to strategize with the company, how to become a business partner with them and how to show how our people can work for them, whether at that Blue Valley or we're taking them to work there. And we're good at that. Blue Valley is really good at that. And so I just hope that this is something that you guys feel that you can trust us to do.
I'd like to, the recommendation, I think, just reading through what I got today, I think you guys probably got it last week, but I've been gone, so I just now was able to read through that today. And we had originally talked about a $35,000 line of credit at 0 interest, which I support if you guys want to do that. The amount of $725, I think that we could do that for this year, and then the next year should just be included in the funding proposal. And then would be my recommendation, because you don't want to make a commitment for 2 years, it's separate from the funding proposal. I don't have a problem with it at all, though, if you want to go ahead and approve it. And then the not to exceed $4,000 for website development. And then the money for the consultant, I have no issue with that, but I think what we need is an actual quote from a consultant so we know what we're voting on. So I would suggest coming back when you
No,
have.
that's right. Yeah. And then if you guys have any wisdom or things that you think that I did not put in there, I would love to hear those. That's why we do this, is to hear everybody.
I think there should be, I keep thinking there should be some kind of a place where business leaders can offer consulting services to nonprofits as a way to
I
get
have
that.
somebody that I'm married to who's a consultant. I assure you, he will be calling you next week.
Okay, good. That's good. That would be great.
Yeah, he didn't have anything else to do.
He's almost done with that.
So I was looking, Georgie, you sent me a website today. That was overwhelming. I have not been able to glean through that as well, but I also just locally, I was looking at SCORE, through the SBA. And then I was also I've looked at the UMKC SBA, the Development Center. And in terms of things, I don't know that may be more generic. It's not the person coming in and learning our culture, learning us and looking at our skill sets and how to transform that. So I'm just not sure where that goes yet.
And that's why I'm saying we can kick that one down the road a little bit, we have a better idea of what we're getting and how much we need for that.
Yeah.
So I think what we'll need is a motion, and we'll also need to amend the budget. Is that correct, Tom?
That is correct. For the portion that's the grant,
Okay, not the portion
the
below.
loan will require a budget amendment.
Okay.
Okay. The amount.
So we would need a motion to make BDI a $35,000 no interest line of credit loan. And then $725 grant for the first year of the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce. And not to exceed $4,000 grant for the website, and to amend the budget accordingly.
One motion. One motion says we also.
You want it separate?
Yeah.
I don't think it matters to me.
Okay, all together. So moved. Can I just say so moved?
Yes.
And is there a second?
Second.
What about the consulting part? I know
Come
we
back to
don't
that.
know exactly.
Come back
what
to
it
that.
is.
Favorable of that, we just need more information about how much it's gonna cost and when it might even not be in this budget year, depending on how long it takes to find somebody. So,
So he could come back with that request
Yes,
later.
I appreciate that.
and we're very favorable, very much in favor of the consulting because that's desperately needed to help make the right contacts and.
Right.
And obviously, you know, Ed's volunteered some time. I don't know if Rory's would be volunteer since it would be a conflict.
Yeah,
of
I'm sure
interest.
that would be volunteering his time. He absolutely would.
Yeah, so it might be between the two, he might not need
Right.
something else, but then, you know, maybe some kind of leadership development program or something like that to. But I mean, we're very, very much advocates of leadership development programs because it helps give everybody the skills.
Right.
I have a really
Alright.
quick question. Is there gonna be a time frame on the interest-free loan? Do we need to set that, or is it just open-ended? It doesn't matter, but given it's kind of a verbal contract, I don't know if there needs to be some sort of limit on the amount of time.
I don't know when when BBI would be able to begin paying this back. It's gonna be
Sure.
an amount of time. So Tom, what's your recommendation?
My recommendation is you set a specific time when there's no reason why you can't extend it later if the situation warrants, but I think it's a good idea for there to be a natural sort of time when it comes up to make that determination.
So how about 18 months? That would put us at December of 2026.
That'd be right about
Is that okay?
That's great. And,
Be right
and,
time.
you know, as we can, I'm happy, and we'll pay back early as we can, just like a line of credit.
Okay. We just understand that it takes a while to
right.
finish it, right?
Does the vote need to be individualized?
Yeah, I was gonna take a roll call because I have to abstain. Any other questions or discussion? Everybody feel comfortable, ready to vote? Okay, Susan. Aye.
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 Stu,
Aye.
Ben,
Aye.
Dr. Eve,
Aye.
and George, is he still there?
I am still here, and I say aye.
Aye, and I will abstain, so the motion carries. Did you get all that, Robin?
Yep.
Can I just say thank you so much?
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
for what
yeah.
you do.
Thank you.
We're all pulling for you to succeed. All right, so we moved through that pretty fast. Thank you for everyone. Thank you, Ed. And that. Is there any old business?
I don't know if this is an old business, but I need to recognize Alex. You were identified in a very positive way by a gal at Paws and in Pals, Tanya. Yeah, she thought the world of you, and thank you for going in there and talking to her. I know she put in an application for funding last year. We didn't do it for a variety of reasons, but I think it's great that.
Is that on the square in Independence? Is that the
Yes.
one? Yes, I'm
She's
familiar
got
with
the
that.
hand now.
Uh-huh.
I think she has 16 schools she goes to with her dogs and works with people with special needs, so.
You know, and Alex came to us from Blue Valley.
Yeah.
We've had maybe 5 organizations that we've met with that are newer or new that are
Yeah,
interested, so it's fun we've got a lot more people reach out about fun.
the other one that has come to mind, and it's been on TV a lot, I gotta give credit to Ability, KC. I mean, they are knocking it out of the park by partnering with Channel 9 and setting up these various programs. That's good. I mean, that's getting the word out.
Good things.
Yeah. I don't, are they on today? We have anybody from Ability?
Unfortunately. Joseph used to come, but he's gone now, so.
Just a shame. I'll tell
I know you will.
All right, any other questions or comments or old business or new business?
Could I
I
just?
guess brand new business. Tom, do we need to amend the budget now for the loan, or did that be next meeting?
That got done as part of the original.
Oh, that got
She
done as it?
seconded with her motion, or actually Georgie did and Susan said ditto.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Yes.
So I just wanted to mention, for those of you who are fans of Levy 101, thanks to Georgie, I'm going to be presenting Levy 101 to a group of executive directors and others from MacPDS on July 21st.
Oh, I love it.
I'm very excited.
I love it. Did you guys hear that online that Tom is gonna do his levy 101?
Yeah, there's so many new executive directors at DBS, and the levies are complicated, and especially in smaller counties where people don't have a lot of access to information. So I really appreciate Tom agreeing to do that and just give him his time.
That is awesome. I love it because I know how complicated the levy is.
And I think the question and answers is probably gonna be, a bigger, almost as big part of it as the presentation itself.
That's awesome. I love that. Well, given all of that, you know, we are not meeting in July, so don't accidentally show up here because nobody will be here. So hopefully everybody gets on a vacation or gets some time off to lay by the pool.
And the employee, staff appreciation event is July 11th from 11 to 1. Is it
11 to 1.
11.
Yeah,
11 to 1.
We'll be here for long.
The building is, anybody, you guys know where that is?
And Jenga, right?
Yeah.
I have a brand new giant Jenga, so
Okay,
All right.
all your favoritism
okay.
vibes you put on that thing to win every time are gone.
All the board.
How
everyone
big
is
are we
invited
talking?
to that.
Oh, it's pretty big.
How big?
4 foot.
4 foot? Okay, wow. So, life size.
The bathrooms across the street have been completely remodeled, so you'll get to see them.
We need to tour the bathroom.
Yes, now, they are very, very, like in the ladies' room, there are 3 stalls still, but the 2 that were very, very small are now very, very smaller. Yeah, in order to accommodate a little bit of extra room in the large one, but it looks nicer, just.
All right, so, we'll see everybody at the Employee Appreciation on July 11th. We will not see anybody for a July meeting. We will meet back here on August 26th for our August meeting. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
All
Second.
those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You too.
And